spaces indoors. And if you can't decide, you can always give a gift card. Mesquite Valley Growers on Speedway just east of Pantano. Open 7 days a week. Give the gift of living all year round with Mesquite Valley Growers.
The month of October always brings us two special events. One is Halloween, and the other is Truck Month at O'Reilly Chevrolet. One is scary, and the other is scary good when it comes to a deal on a new Silverado. So if you like trucks and treats, check out our complete inventory at O'Reilly.com. Call 747-8000 where we can get the process started, or see us in person on Broadway next to Park Place Mall. Find new roads and your new truck today at O'Reilly Chevrolet. More than a great price.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Susie Schuster and Amy Trask present offbeat conversations and expert sports commentary as they ask, what the football?
When my family found out how long it took me to figure out why Charles Woodson named his wine Intercept, they said, there's a reason that you had trouble in school.
You know, not everyone knows, when they think of a bottle of Intercept, they don't know that I play football.
Well, what I've learned is a smooth defensive back can make smooth wine.
That's what it's all about.
What the Football? The podcast is available Tuesdays, wherever you listen.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. The Wildcats Radio 1290 studios are brought to you by Casino del Sol, Soul Sports, Bet Easy, Win Big, Bet Local. Your home for Arizona football play-by-play is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Why does 1290 run this town?
It's simple. 1290 is the only radio station that can bring you Thursday, Sunday, Monday Night Football, the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl. Scoreboard 1290.
This is the home of the Wildcats.
This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names. David Scott Kelly.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back. Oh, it's root for the D-backs. If they don't win, it's a shame. Or it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. And a great Wednesday game day to you. Hopefully it is elimination day for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Game 3 of the National League Division Series happening tonight here in State 48. 6:07 first pitch, Arizona, Los Angeles, D-backs with a 2-zip lead looking to finish off Dodger Blue with a 3-game sweep.
Shouldn't they change it to like buy me some sushi and mimosas or something in the
That's
modern
kind of the way it's gone now in professional baseball. It's like you can get just about anything you want. Buy me a Sonoran dog.
Right.
And some
filet mignon.
Filet mignon.
Right.
Sushi crackers and whatever else you want.
Well, you got to be careful, though, with the mimosas, because I hear now that there are some restaurants that are charging you a fee if you drink too many mimosas and you end up getting sick from it. So now there's a mimosa fee and some protection charge.
Oh, gosh. What is going on with that? That's not fun.
Some people like their brunch, man.
Yeah. I don't mind my brunch now that I have Sundays off. I have a first opening week of the football season. I had me a few mimosas while watching the Browns play. Absolutely. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Are you going to the game tonight? I want to hear from you if you're headed up the I-10 right now to see the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. This might be the only game in this series. It's the first game. Gosh, it's crazy to think that this is the first home game of the postseason here in Arizona. The Diamondbacks have played 4 games on the road, 2 in Milwaukee, 2 in Los Angeles, and they have won all 4 games to this point. We did a little question of the day yesterday, and let's wrap that up because it pertained to your D-backs, and the question was, who offensively on this team is making the biggest impact, do you believe, at this particular time? And I gave you 4 choices on that one right there, and they were Ketel Marte, who comes into Game 3 with 5 hits and 3 RBIs, Corbin Carroll, who comes in hitting 500, I should say, hitting 500 in this series, his first postseason series, and he's batting 500, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. Tommy Pham, who's hitting 389. He has 7 hits, the most on the team, 10 total bases. And Gabby Moreno, the catcher who got conked on the head in Milwaukee, but still has 2 jacks and 5 ribs in this series. This poll just wrapped up just moments ago, and it's kind of worked out the way that we thought it would. Who do you think is the winner?
I would imagine it's probably Corbin Carroll.
Corbin Carroll. Exactly. Corbin Carroll. 80% voted for Corbin Carroll. There's actually one person that did not get any votes. Do you think you know who that is?
David Amata.
No, David Amata. Yeah. Well, David didn't get any votes.
There's no extra votes in there, so yeah. But if I had to take a guess of the ones that we had listed, I think Tommy Pham was on that.
Yeah, no, Tommy Pham he was second. He got 15% of the vote on that. Yeah, so it went Corbin Carroll 80%, Tommy Pham 15%, Gabby Moreno 5%, and Ketel Marte did not get a single vote. None. So Corbin Carroll, that's your guy right now offensively. I should have done the pitching on this too, but I did not do that today. But maybe we'll do that tomorrow for tomorrow's show. Who on the pitching side, especially if the Diamondbacks wrap up a sweep tonight and have some days off ahead of the National League Championship Series. 520-848-1290. Again, want to hear from you if you're going to the game. We have a lot of news to get to on this show today. We'll start with some show news, and I'm going to put David Amata on the spotlight here so he can announce his news. David.
This Friday will be my last show here with Wildcats Radio 1290. I'm going to be moving to do a bit more writing work. I've got another job that I've got lined up, and I'm excited. There's going to be some opportunities for me to go ahead and do some personal projects and try to kind of build myself a little bit on my own, and I'm excited for that, but still did have that other job there in case, it takes a little bit to get some kind of groundswell for myself. I don't imagine there's going to be a lot of people that interested in what I got to say initially out the start, but that's why you go ahead and you keep digging the hole until eventually you find oil somewhere.
So is this going to be like podcasting and that kind of thing as well as the writing, that you're going to be kind of doing your own kind of thing? And like, JR Sports Brief, that kind of how he started at CBS Sports. He was doing his own blog and then he turned into a national host.
For the most part, yeah, it's going to be a lot of that. And a lot of streaming. We have a lot of that nowadays where people can do their streaming podcasts and things like that. Streaming commentary, things of that nature for the future. But got some ideas about what I want to do. I've got the other job ready to go for the meantime to go ahead and give me some ground money to kind of build myself up with. But been fun here. Learned a lot from JW, who's been here since I started. He's done a lot for me in regards to just knowing what you got to do to go ahead and manage everything.
I didn't teach you anything. Come on.
Oh, you did.
I didn't teach you anything. I've just been supportive of you and your success.
But no, I've been a very big help to me here, JW, and of course, Rich when he was here, and DKU as well. I've known you for a while now as well, going back to our TV days, and. While I'm not getting run over like I was back when I was working with you in TV on the sideline of football games, I've enjoyed myself. I've enjoyed myself very mightily.
Speaking of that, I don't know if you guys saw this, but they sent out a letter. The AIA sent out a letter this week because some guy, a photographer, got trucked by a referee on the sideline at a game in Phoenix, and now like they're cutting down on sideline access and where we can stand. See, it only takes one dude or one female to mess it up for everybody else. And this dude messed it up. He was in I guess they call it the non, I forget what it's called, the non
splash zone.
Yeah, the splash zone, whatever he was. It's where we all stand, but at least, you gotta know when, I've been in the non-stand zone a number of times. I'm not gonna lie, but I have my head up, and I know if somebody's coming. I always have my peripheral to know that if a referee's coming at me. I did almost get hit one time at Catalina Foothills, and this is hilarious. Jeff Skurin was the head coach, and I was on their sideline. It was a home game, obviously, and I almost got hit. And the referee, he starts yelling at me. Then he starts yelling at Jeff Skurin that he's going to flag Catalina Foothills. And Jeff Skurin looks at me like, what in the hell are you doing? Get your butt back off the field before you cost my team 15 yards. Yeah, that you gotta be mindful.
Gotta keep your head
up. Gotta have heads up, man. That was, but if you check out, I don't know if anybody's posted the video. I don't know if we're supposed to post it. They sent it to us, so I'd imagine if you send a video out to a bunch of media people, somebody's probably gonna post it. But this referee, they said he was seriously injured. I mean, he literally fell right over the guy who was kind of kneeling, which is probably why he didn't see the photographer, because the photographer was kneeling. But yeah, you got to be careful out there on the sidelines. Don't mess it up for all of us that want to be on the sidelines at these high school football games. So Dragon Ball is going to be leaving tomorrow, or Friday will be his last show here.
I was going to say, you're kicking me out early, DK.
Yeah, no, you can stay. You can stay a few more days. Hate to see you go, bro. You're really good at this, and I know that if this is what you want to do, you're going to have a chance to be pretty successful at it. You got a lot of knowledge on a lot of different subjects. And that's the key if talk radio is the way you want to go. I mean, you've got, like I said, I hand it over to you guys on certain subjects because I know you guys know way more than me about it. I just try to engineer and get you to the subject and take advantage of the great knowledge that you guys have especially on the sport of basketball. And so I know that whatever you do, you're going to be pretty successful at it. Just keep plugging. It's a hard industry. But I know you know that part of it, and I know you know the hard work that it's going to take to get to where you want to be. And whatever I can do for you, I'll definitely always be in your corner to try to push you up the ladder. So
obviously, like anything, we've always had a good understanding as far as having each other's back and all that kind of thing here at the station. So whatever you do moving forward, just know that our numbers are always available, and if you ever need anything, you just let us know.
Appreciate it, guys.
I am going to need that parking pass back, though.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm going to get it back to you here for sure.
520-848-1290. If you want to say goodbye to Dragon Ball, you got a few more days to do that. So call in today, call in Thursday. Thursday, obviously, a short show, and on call in Friday. Friday will be our last show. So Friday, because there is this thing now, of course, when I was in high school, we only got one. We didn't get it. We got a spring break, but we never got a fall break. Now kids get a fall break and a spring break to go along with Christmas and all the other holidays.
Rodeo, too.
Right. Here in Tucson, you get a rodeo break, too. So you actually get spring break and a rodeo break in the springtime. So essentially, no one is in school this week. In any of the districts, there is absolutely no school going on.
And people say the NFL had no idea. Maybe we do 2 bye weeks. Maybe we do. No, the NFL absolutely had the right idea with 2 bye weeks. Yeah. And eventually schools got around to the same idea.
Schools got around to the same thing. Yeah. In fact, I got up and turned on the Today Show. And, they do, I don't know if you watch the Today Show. They do this thing every morning where they people that are there out in the dark standing outside 30 Rock get to say who they are and where they're from. And one of the families said, we brought our daughter to New York to stand to the Today Show on fall break. So it seems like fall break is probably happening everywhere.
They went to New York to stand outside the window?
Exactly. To be on the Today Show, to watch Hoda and
I would hope they
and
went
our
there
girl
for
Savannah Guthrie right here, Tucson, Amphi Panther proud. Savannah Guthrie. Yeah, they took their kids out to that. So
I would hope they went for other reasons and then also stood outside the station.
Yeah,
I
would hope there's some Broadway involved in that.
Yeah.
And maybe a few.
There's other things to see in New York, is all I'm saying.
Maybe a
couple
few
other
monuments and that kind of thing. So, so because everybody is on fall break, that is not a good time to try to set up. It's almost Friday night to go out to a high school. So we will not be out at a high school this weekend. We were kind of hoping to be out at Canyon del Oro. And for the big game with Micah Mountain, I still plan to go to that game, but just doing a show out there this Friday wasn't going to work with there not being any classes. So we will not be anywhere on Friday. So we'll be in studio here. We'll talk about that game, obviously, and we can talk about it starting today if you'd like. It's the game of the year. It's the game of the year, high school-wise, here in Southern Arizona. Micah Mountain and Canyon del Oro. Micah Mountain, a school that just started playing football 4 years ago, has already ascended to the top of the ladder. And most of us knew that this was going to happen. I don't know if we knew that it was going to happen so quickly, but they are there already, and they are going to have a big-time ball game with CDO. They upset CDO last year out in Vail, and they'll look to go on the road and do it again. It is Wednesdays here, and on Wednesdays we welcome in Christy. Christy, you're a little behind here. You're putting the show behind already.
I'm good. I'm
My
here.
gosh, it's like 14:36, and we got to go to traffic at 15, and you're like just getting in here. So we're gonna have to bring you back and talk more about this later. But so we talked yesterday about the Powerball. Okay, it's 1.725. Do you play?
I do not.
You do not play. Okay, do you guys want to play? I said we talked about the consortium. Yesterday.
I'll put a couple bucks.
Yeah, I would absolutely.
No, not a couple bucks. $5. Can you put in $5?
However much is more than you need? Sure.
$5. So
whatever.
$5. I'll put in 5 for cricket. That's 25 tickets for all of us. You in on this Dragon Ball?
I bought my $6 worth of tickets a bit ago, but I can throw in another 5.
Throw in another 5. Okay, so we'll get 25 tickets for the 5 of us. That means that if we win and we take the cash option, we are going to, where did I put this? Now, see, I can't find my notes here. All right, 400, and because if you take the cash option, it's going to be $458 million after taxes.
Only?
Split 5 ways. That means each of us would get $91.6 million.
You know, that means 5 of us would not be working anymore.
For the most part, yes.
Herb Crow is going to have to really be on his game because he's going to have to replace 5 positions if we hit that. All right, so each of us is going to put in $5. I'll buy 25 tickets. I'll get out of here right after the show's over.
12.5.
We'll go do that. 12.5.
They're $2 each.
You get $2 for each Powerball. So yeah,
$2. Okay, so 12.5. All right, I failed math.
It's fine.
Exactly. I failed math. All right, getting you home. We'll bring you back and talk more about this later. Christy's got your traffic every 20 minutes on the 5s.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. All surface roads, I-10, I-19 looking good this afternoon. Overnight lane closures along I-10 between Keno Parkway and Rita Road. Crews will work weekday overnights from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. the following morning and wrapping up around October 20th. Tonight's overnight low, 65 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny and a beautiful 88 degrees. Currently, it's breezy and 95 degrees outside. I'm Christy.
We can't make those mistakes. The whole game plan was trying to get him off the spot, and that's what we did. And then just, be smart. We did all week of when he scrambled, start matching up receivers and things like that. And I thought our secondary did a great job in matching up receivers. But, the discipline factor has to be coached, and we got to do a better job doing it.
Arizona is still listed as about an 8-point underdog in that contest. The injury bug bit a number of teams this week with the first injury reports coming out, and the Dolphins and Colts got the worst of it as the Dolphins have officially placed rookie running back Devon Achane on the short-term injury reserve, meaning he'll miss at least 4 games. Indianapolis, sadly, their rising star quarterback Anthony Richardson will miss 4 to 8 weeks due to a grade 3 AC joint sprain he suffered on Sunday. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Let's welcome in the man who sat in this chair prior to me and is now, in fact, you will hear him this weekend, overnight, on CBS Sports Radio. My good friend, Rich Herrera. Rich, how are you?
First-time caller, long-time listener, and daily viewer on YouTube. It is nice to be on with you, David, Dragon Ball, JW, everybody else, Paul in Phoenix. I'm actually in Phoenix right now. Just got off the freeway, and I'm looking over here, David, and the roof is open at Chase Field tonight.
Really?
Diamondbacks and the Dodgers.
I'm surprised that it's open yet. It's still pretty warm, but there's nothing better than Chase Field when the roof and the panels are open, man. It is a beautiful ballpark when those two things are taking place.
I think the high today was supposed to be 92. It's a little bit cooler in Phoenix than it is in Tucson, which is kind of unusual. So I guess we're going to play open-air baseball tonight with the Diamondbacks, having an opportunity to sweep the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, of course, I am wearing Arizona red, white, and blue since I'm up here so close to that Tempe Normal Women's Teachers College.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that is right there next to downtown and these stadiums and all of that. Rich, update the folks on what you're doing now.
Wow. So, well, I listen to you guys every day. That's one thing.
Okay. Thanks.
No, you know what? I went back to work. No, I like the show. I went back to work at CBS Sports Radio, so I'm doing a lot of fill-in work. And then, I think I told everybody I had this tremendous opportunity that just kind of fell into my lap. Somebody gave me a telephone call and asked, can I help with some sports marketing in Major League Baseball? And 1 call, 2 calls, 10 calls later, their CEO calls and says, hey, what's it going to take for the big fajita to come work for us? And so I run the sports marketing division for Charlotte's Web Recreate CBD, with the official CBD of Major League Baseball. So, David, if you're looking in the dugouts at all the games, you'll see our buckets. So there's three brands that are in the dugout for every game. Gatorade, Hyper Ice, which is a massage gun, and Charlotte's Web Recreate CBD. So we're one of the 3 brands that are in the dugouts, and we had signage all over the ballpark and the wild card, and I just bought a program for the World Series. So I go to games, I deal with the Players Association, I deal with agents, I deal with teams, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm at the ballpark just about all the time and meeting with people and getting ready for the winter meetings in Nashville. So it's a tremendous opportunity, and we get to stay in Tucson. So, I still live up in Oro Valley, and that's why I said I listen and watch all the time.
So we're watching the Phillies and the Braves right now. The Phillies, how did this game get 6-1? It was just 1-1 a minute ago, and now the Phillies have opened it up here in this 4th inning, and they lead 6-1.
Bryce Harper's built for October. I mean, this is when you see.
He's not built for October like Yordan Alvarez. That's a guy that's built for October the last 2 years. I mean, every time that guy has 4 home runs in the series going into the game, this starts here in about a half an hour as the Astros look to complete that series with a 3-1 win over the Minnesota Twins up at Target Field. So if we get a dugout shot here in the Phillies game, we can see Charlotte's Web and Recreate in one of the buckets in the dugout, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's a black bucket. So I was sitting over at Cold Beer and Cheeseburgers the other day because they just opened up. They were screaming, "Show the bucket! Show the bucket!" So the other night, like in the wild card, one of the Rays pitchers got lit up and knocked out of the game in the first inning, and he goes and he sits in the dugout and he slams his head back 3 times and he hits his head against our bucket. And I'm like, that's worth $50,000 of earned media right there. And then it was on SportsCenter, ching ching. There's another $100,000. And Trey Turner, when he had that double to start the game the other night, he sits down. They have a hero shot from him. I timed it with the watch. 5 seconds next to my bucket. That's $150,000 of earned media right there. Yes.
That's crazy. So obviously you spent a lot of time in Tampa Bay. What in your opinion, what happened to the Rays? They just totally flopped. Starting 13-0, started 13-0. Everybody looked like that was going to be the team to beat all season. They finished second to the Orioles, and really both those teams not great representation of the American League East in the postseason.
Well, how about the American League East with 3 of the best records in baseball, and they went over the playoffs because Toronto got swept as well.
Right.
So the other thing that I'm doing to keep myself busy is I still work with Brent Boone on his podcast. His podcast is just blown up. Robert Flores came on yesterday. Remember, there'll be Network Yonder. Alonso came on. We're going to do a show with Gary. With Albert Bell. Albert Bell called and said, "Hey, I want to come on and talk about
Albert Bell
playoffs."
actually called in. You have to break his arm to call in.
No, he said, "Hey, I want you to I want to come on the podcast." So,
wow.
So he's coming on. I think we're recording him tomorrow. So we talked about that quite a bit. We were talking about, would you rather be the team that fights your way in and gets in at the last minute, like the Rangers were fighting to the very last day to game 162, or would you rather be the Orioles and the Rays, where you had it in the bag, you kind of coasted in? There's that whole thing, can I turn it on, turn it off? And it looks like the teams that slug it out and get there by the skin of their teeth are battle-hardened, sharp, and ready, and the others just that sat there fat and happy like the Rays and the Orioles, they're done. So it's very interesting. You look at the Dodgers right now. They're down 2-0. They're facing elimination tonight, and they had this thing in the bag midway through September. So maybe there is something to fighting all the way to the very bitter end and being your best.
How much, though, Rich, do you think also that the fact that this wild card situation is 3 games now to the point where the top seeds had to essentially sit for a week?
Right, exactly. So, if you've got to fight your way through, the Rangers did, and then you're sitting there, and you've got a couple days off. You can get through that, but if you're the Dodgers or if you're one of those other teams that had everything in the bag middle of September, then you had an extra couple days to sit waiting for the wild card. They didn't come out very sharp, and Clayton Kershaw, the best regular season pitcher in all of baseball, and I say that as a Giants fan, as a backwards compliment to him. I asked Brett the other day, who would you rather have on the bump in the postseason? Would you rather have a for sure first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever, lace them up in Clayton Kershaw, or would you rather have Madison Bumgarner? And we both said Bumgarner. There's just certain guys that step up for that postseason.
Rich Herrera joining us, CBS Sports Radio, recreating Charlotte's Web, working with the CBDN for Major League Baseball. Going to be up in Phoenix tonight for the D-backs of the Dodgers. Game 3, it's sold out here in State 48 tonight, looking for an elimination of the Dodger Blue. What do you make of Torey Lovullo and what he has done in the postseason? I mean, you talked about having to fight to the bitter end, which is what the Diamondbacks did, but they basically went in losing their last 3 games of the regular season. Got in obviously because the Cardinals took care of the Cincinnati Reds, but they have been just unbeatable since the playoffs started, sweeping out of Milwaukee and then winning the first 2 in Los Angeles.
That little center fielder has been amazing. Gary Hill's been amazing. You got what you got out of Zach the other day. This is a team that led most of the season. The National League West. The Giants made a run, and then you found out that they were pretenders. The Dodgers are the cream of the crop, but the Dodgers are without their top 3 pitchers. They're without Walker Buehler. They're without Urias, and the Diamondbacks, just nobody ever gave them credit because you're just waiting for, the Giants were going to overtake them. They got hot. you know what, they're just holding the place until the Dodgers get there. It turns out the Diamondbacks might have been the class of the National League West the entire time. So if you watch it, is it a surprise? If you live out here in Arizona and you came to Chase Field, and I came up probably a dozen times, so people are excited up here. We're just pulling in the garage, and there's a guy says he hasn't had this many people coming through at the garage. People are excited because they've seen it. So, you know, we're here, 3 hours before the game, and everybody's excited.
Yeah, first pitch coming up at 6:07. J-Dub says he's got a question to ask you, Rich.
No.
Hello, J-Dub.
What's up? What's up, Rich? No, not a question as much as I know you had a lot of thoughts about the Pac-12 and the media deals, and the dust is now settled, and I just wanted to know what you had to think, what you thought about the results of everything that's transpired in the last 6 months.
Ask Dragon Ball if I've got time for this. You know what? Here it is. Those who can. Those who can't, teach. So John Canzano up in Oregon had this wonderful piece. So you saw that the network, ESPN, had offered $30 million. And there was a professor at the University of Utah, sports marketing guy, who thought he was really, really smart. And he convinced the president at the University of Utah to come back and ask for $50 million. Well, ESPN said, bye, Felicia, and walked out. So George Kliavkoff got bullied by the academians and all these professors and all these school presidents and all these eggheads who think they really know. David, I'll tell you this. You're a Pac-12 student, JW, you too. Dragon Ball and I aren't, so we'll just talk about this anyway. But those professors that really think they know what they're doing, if they were that damn smart, they would be working in business, not sitting there teaching a bunch of freshmen Econ 101. So the Pac-12 shot itself in the foot. George Kliavkoff got dealt a bad hand and made it worse by listening to this chucklehead professor that said, we could get $50 million like everybody else. And ESPN said, bye, Felicia, and bounced over to the Big 12. And that's why now we have the Pac-2. We're going to get to go hang out with Deion Sanders every year with the Big 12. And I'm heartbroken that the Conference of Champions was destroyed by a professor of sports marketing who I wouldn't have work for me selling sponsorships for dog walkers.
Rich, really quick, how do you feel about the Pac-12 media deal not getting done because they didn't have a viable product to put onto television? And here we are in their final year, and what are there, 8 ranked teams right now? The best conference in America?
Well, and again, you know what? Go back to the Stanford model. I'll blame Stanford for this. Everybody was talking about the Director's Cup. Ooh, isn't it great? Isn't it great when everybody was talking about how great the Pac-12 is? Because, you know, we have the volleyball champions and the golf champions, and those are all great sports. And I support all of those student athletes. But football drives the boat. Football's the one that put the food on the table. Basketball. People in Tucson hate me for saying this, but this is true. Football accounts for 75% of the money that comes in to the coffers from media rights. Basketball is 25%. And all the time that the Pac-12 was worried and investing about all the Olympic sports, they didn't pay attention to football. They got overtaken. Remember, DK, USC, Texas. USC was on top. Pac-12 was on top. And it wasn't that long ago. It was like 10 years ago. And then all of a sudden, the Pac-12 stops paying attention to football. They start paying attention to everything else, and they're celebrating all their volleyball championships and their tennis championships and their swimming championships. Meanwhile, the SEC runs past them, and the Pac-12 falls apart because they didn't take care of their moneymaker.
Rich, always great to have you on. Tell the folks when they can hear you.
More of this Friday night at 11 o'clock across the country. I'm still going to be bragging about Tommy Lloyd. I still brag to everybody about the University of Arizona and Adia Barnes at Jed Fish almost beating USC. So I'm still going to be repping Tucson, but this time just across the country, making fun of Cowboy fans left and right.
CBS Sports Radio, 11 o'clock on Friday night.
What are we betting, Dean? Wait a minute.
Oh, that's right. We got the Niners Sunday. And the Browns on Sunday.
Yeah, Niners and Browns. What are we betting?
I don't even know if I've got a quarterback. And I got to go up against Brock Purdy and George Kittle.
Mr. Irrelevant.
What do we like a 12 pack? Like you have to find me you have to get me my favorite Cleveland beer, and I'll get you your favorite Bay Area beer or whatever you want to.
I was thinking of Sonora hot dog. I'm a little
well.
lazy.
There you go. We can do that too. Whatever you want to do.
Or I'll feed the crew. I'll buy lunch for Dragon Ball and JW.
Okay, well, say goodbye to Dragon Ball. He's leaving us. I don't know if you heard that. He's leaving us. It's Friday's his last day, so say goodbye to Dragon Ball.
Oh, you know what? He's a Steeler fan. Who cares?
Hey, one more ring the Niners there, Rich. But you know what? It was always fun. It was always fun with you on the air there, man.
All right, we got to go.
Right, I love you. I miss you guys.
We're 3 minutes past our traffic break. See what happens when I put Rich Herrera back
sorry,
on.
Cricket. All right, I got to go.
He forgot how to hit the post. He forgot how to hit the post. All right. Getting you home. Thanks, Rich. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic. Here's Christy.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. We have a new collision on Grant Road and Silverbell Road. That's Silverbell Road and Grant Road. We also have a speed enforcement zone on Houghton Road between Brecky Road and Dawn Road. Tonight's overnight low, 65. Tomorrow, sunny and a beautiful 88 degrees. Currently, it's breezy and 95. And I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
Desert Fury is here, and the Wildcats need you in Arizona Stadium. Double or triple your Arizona football experience by picking your plan. The Desert Fury plan doubles your games. Choose from Washington or UCLA, and then choose from Oregon State or Utah games starting at just $35. The 3-game flex plan triples your games. Choose any 3 games starting at just $46. Pick your plan by going to ArizonaWildcats.com/FB, and we'll see you at Arizona Stadium.
We return now.
2020 Sports.
It was Pac-12 Media Day for men's basketball programs across the conference, and the Wildcats were represented by Coach Tommy Lloyd, Umar Ballo, and Kylan Boswell. While some are still looking back at the team's loss in the first round of the national tournament, Coach Lloyd said the team isn't suffering from a lack of toughness, despite what some may say.
Toughness can be kind of a catch-all term. And, I've never felt that we're soft. I think we play a very aggressive, physical style of basketball. But, at the end of the day, you get in a single elimination tournament, and toughness comes in lots of form. It could be, could be sticking to a game plan. It could be obviously if the physical things you think come with dominating the point and dominating the glass and things like that. But I think it's important. I think if the first thing I thought after that Princeton game is I need to increase our margin for error, and to me, toughness is a way that you do that. And if you want to be competitive in these games, sometimes you got to be able to physically dominate your opponent. And so, we're gonna strive for that. We know it's going to be challenging. We know other teams fight back really hard. And so, yeah, I think, toughness is a cornerstone of our program. And I think for us to be able to make sure, when you get to March, that you're able to be successful. Toughness has to be a key element of everything we do.
The Cats have been picked as the preseason favorite in the conference for Arizona's final round of the Pac-12 before moving to the Big 12. And be on the lookout for some major changes coming to the Yankees this offseason. Team owner Hal Steinbrenner has said the team may be looking to make some personnel changes after 3 days' worth of meetings following the team's exit this season. Steinbrenner said some moves may be more subtle than others after he described the meeting of 15 team officials as a little bit dicey but respectful, as New York tries to bounce back after missing the postseason this year. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, let's head back out to Las Vegas and hear some more from your head men's basketball coach, Tommy Lloyd. We'll have Tommy Lloyd in this hour. We'll have Adia Barnes in the next hour. Pac-12 Media Days for both the men and the women happening in Las Vegas this week. The head coach was asked how he feels about his club going into next Friday's first exhibition game against Lewis Clark State.
Feel great. It's a long off season, which was good in a lot of respects. It really kind of allowed me time to continue my growth as a coach. And, I know I'm at a special place, and I know I carry a huge responsibility, and that comes with that. And but I'm excited. I'm excited about the group of guys we have. It's been fun, watching them kind of grow as a team, and obviously we still have a lot of work to do like everybody else, but I think we got a lot of the right pieces, and now we just got to put it together and get challenged and go through some adversity, and hopefully the outcome will be good.
Speaking of adversity, you've been phenomenal the first 2 years, 61 wins, disappointing loss last year, first round of the tournament. Talking to people around your program, reading stuff in the offseason, you talked about toughness and how toughness needs to be more part of the fabric of your program. Talk about how you're implementing that and how that's going to help you guys be even better, especially in the postseason.
Well, toughness can be kind of a catch-all term. And, I've never felt that we're soft. I think we play a very aggressive, physical style of basketball. But, at the end of the day, you get in a single elimination tournament, and toughness comes in lots of form. It could be, could be sticking to a game plan. It could be obviously if the physical things you think come with dominating the point and dominating the glass and things like that. But I think it's important. I think if the first thing I thought after that Princeton game is I need to increase our margin for error, and to me, toughness is a way that you do that. And if you want to be competitive in these games, sometimes you got to be able to physically dominate your opponent. And so, we're gonna strive for that. We know it's going to be challenging. We know other teams fight back really hard. And so, yeah, I think, toughness is a cornerstone of our program. And I think for us to be able to make sure, when you get to March, that you're able to be successful. Toughness has to be a key element of everything we do.
All right, Coach, we may have some more questions for you, but we're going to send it over to Jesse Hooker now, and he'll call on some members of the media.
Okay, if any media have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone. We'll go to Willie Ramirez on my right in the front row.
Coach, good morning. Willie Ramirez from the Associated Press. You have some decent heavyweights on your non-conference schedule. What are some immediate things you're looking for out of your team in terms of tweaking and that you want to correct if there are corrections to be made when you play those opponents?
Well, there's going to be corrections, and the reason you play opponents like that is because they're going to expose you, and to me that's part of the fun is trying to figure it out. So, I could maybe guess at some of the things I need to correct, but I think those are going to show themselves over time, and I don't want to predetermine, we're not going to be good at this or we're going to be great at that. I'm going to kind of let it play out in front of me, and then I'll coach it in the moment as things, start to show up.
Any other questions? We'll go on my left to Casey Jacobson in the back row.
Coach Lloyd, Caleb Love has been one of the most talented players in college basketball over the last several years, but he's also been really inconsistent. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you thought of him before he transferred to your program and what you've seen from him since he's been in Tucson.
Well, obviously, he's got a lot of talent, and what he did at Carolina. I mean, people have. Maybe say there's inconsistent or inefficient or whatever you want to say. All I know is this. 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament, that dude had 30 points in an Elite Eight game and 28 in a Final Four game. So there's not many guys in the history of college basketball that can say they've done that. So, they didn't have a great year as a team last year, and he was part of it, and he owned it, and he and I have had amazing conversations about, how we can help him and how he can help us. And so I think we got him at the right time. And, I know, maybe he's been a little bit of a lightning rod because when you play at a place like Carolina and you're preseason number one and it doesn't work out, there's going to be some criticism that comes with that. He knows that. But he's someone that everyone in college basketball, media, fans should be rooting for. These young guys deserve multiple opportunities to be successful. You shouldn't be defined what happens 1 year at Carolina when your team's preseason number one, and there's a lot of things that go into it. So, for me, I know this. I'm always rooting for young people, and I can't wait for this to turn out to be a success story this year.
On my right to Cindy in the front row.
Morning, Coach. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Awesome. I want to talk about the evolution of Umar Ballo. He has just been fantastic for you. And I want to know what your expectations are for him this season, particularly when it comes to leadership now that he's an upperclassman.
Yeah, for sure. Big O, you guys will hear from him here in a second. He has a special place in my heart. This is a guy that, I knew he was going to be successful because he has amazing high character. And, he had to deal with some growing pains and some struggle, and he's come out on the other side. For me, the conversations, I've had with him, it's not so much statistical growth or anything like that, or, I'm sure he wants to add a three-point shot, but that's not as important to me, stuff like that. I just want to see him continue to grow as a basketball player, kind of in modern basketball, maybe so he can be successful outside of an Arizona setting and have a long, good career, because the game has changed for players like him, and maybe we're a little bit old school in the way we play and where we really value and reward guys like him. I don't know if other systems are doing that across the country and in basketball in general. But then you're right. It's the leadership, and he has that. He has so much potential there, and his leadership can be grounded in the fact that he's dealt with struggle and come through it. And, I think all these guys, these young players, struggle is part of their growth process. So to have somebody who's done it, come through the other side, I think he can be a great example for others, and especially within our program.
Piggybacking on that, Tommy, one thing that struck me in your 2 years at Arizona is player development, and how guys, you see them 1 year, they come back better the next. Everyone this time of year wants to talk about who's coming in, whether it's five-star high school kids, transfer portal guys. Talk about your off-season player development and who this year you think, is going to come back looking different than they did last year, not just Umar.
Yeah, for me, one of the core tenets of our program is always going to be pushing the limits of individual player development. I think that's an important part of it, and we're 100% bought into that, and I think our players in our program feel that. At the end of last season, when you're going through everything and you're figuring out what your roster is going to look like, I always slept good because I was banking on, these guys coming back being better. And I didn't even know who the incoming guys coming in with them were going to be, but I knew these guys come back. And I thought, man, if I have Kylan Boswell, Pella Larson, and Umar Ballo coming back, and they all make the offseason jumps that guys make in our program, that's the foundation for a top 10 team right there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think those guys have made that jump, and I think we've added some really good pieces to it, and I'm excited. I think you're going to see, Pella is, you're going to hear from him in a second. Incredibly talented player. He's, there's no doubt in my mind he's an NBA talent. And I've always believed that, and he and I have had conversations about it. And I think, he's been finding his way in college basketball. And the last years he's been on really good teams with other good players, and he's unbelievable filling the gaps in for that. I think this is going to be an opportunity for him to kind of maybe be one of those kind of featured players, and he's ready for that moment.
Keshad Johnson's going to be an important part for you guys. Looking at your roster, what you lost from last year, specifically to Bellis, and what he brought to the table production-wise. Johnson gets to the national championship game last year at San Diego State. Talk about what he's brought and what he's going to bring to the table, not just from a number standpoint, but defensively too.
Well, Keys is an amazing person, and first off, I want to say that San Diego State did a great job with him, throughout the course of his career, and he really developed there because he started as kind of a guy that didn't play to, being a starter, and I've seen that growth continue. So he came in with a great foundation, and I'm thankful for that. But he's a very versatile player, and I don't want to just label him as a defensive player because I think he's really good at both sides of the ball. But defensively, he has an ability in the modern game that he switches. He could switch guard 1 through 5. He can pressure the basketball. He can cover up for mistakes, protect the rim. He's a force on the glass. Offensively, in our system, that kind of that 4-man is in the middle of the action a lot. And I've really seen kind of his playmaking grow and his shooting grow. And I'm excited for him to get an opportunity to kind of show that stuff.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Tommy Lloyd, today at Pac-12 Media Day. We'll hear the final portion of his thoughts coming up in the next hour. We'll also hear from Adia Barnes as well, what she had to say yesterday at Arizona Wildcats Women's Basketball Media Day at the Pac-12 in Las Vegas. This is DK on the Sports Tip, getting you set for baseball tonight. It's the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks at 6:07, and you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. We have a collision on Oracle Road and River Road. That's River and Oracle, causing some slowing for eastbound River as you approach Oracle Road. Also in the clearing stages, Grant Road and Silverbell Road. We also have a couple speed enforcement zones at 6th and Ajo Way. Also on Houghton Road between Brecky and Dawn Road. Please watch your speed in those areas. It is currently breezy and 94 degrees outside. Tomorrow's high sunny with a beautiful 88 degrees. Tonight's overnight low 65. And I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's.
2020 Sports.
The Arizona Diamondbacks can complete the sweep tonight in the desert as they prepare for what could be the final baseball game for the Dodgers this year. Torey Lovullo's crew can win their 5th straight postseason game. Diamondbacks send out Brandon Pfaadt on the mound going up against Lance Lynn for first pitch set to begin just after 6 o'clock tonight. And in other news, the ALDS has come to an end for one team as they have now a chance to fight for a spot in the World Series. The Rangers have completed a 3-game sweep of the Orioles thanks to an explosive second inning, and then Nathan Eovaldi giving Baltimore fits on the mound before Texas put a bow on their performance in front of the home crowd.
And the Texas Rangers are going to the championship series. Started to chant, "We want Houston." Will it be a battle of Texas, a battle for the American League?
The Rangers now wait for either the Twins or Astros. The team said that pitchers Max Scherzer and John Gray could be relatively close to returning for the postseason run. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names. David Scott Kelly.
T-minus 2 hours and 3 minutes to first pitch here in the desert. Arizona, Los Angeles, D-backs trying to wrap up the National League Division Series and advance to the NLCS. Let's get that Diamondbacks download going right now. How about that, J-Dub? And tell the folks what's happening tonight here in State 48.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
All right, it is the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers up at Dodger Stadium. It is a 6:07 first pitch for this game tonight. It is the 3rd game of the evening in Major League Baseball. The Phillies right now are all over the Atlanta Braves 7-1. Bryce Harper has hit 2 home runs in this game, including a 3-run shot just minutes from now. Game 4 of the American League Division Series between Houston and Minnesota will begin. The Astros trying to close out the Twins and get a date and make it an all-Texas ALCS for the first time, I believe, in history. And that would be between Houston and the Texas Rangers. So essentially Houston versus Dallas, which is really all what we want to see anyway, right? And here in the desert, it'll be the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Lance Lynn will go to the bump for L.A. And Lance Lynn this season put up a record on the bump of 13-11, an ERA of 5.73. He'll be opposed by Brandon Pfaadt, the rookie for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who pitched in Game 1 of the wild card in Milwaukee. Did not necessarily pitch all that well, but did have high strikeout numbers in that game. He, too, has an ERA of 5.72. So you have 2 guys with ERAs over 5.7 in game number 4 tonight. It'll be sold out. Brandon Pfaadt 3-9 on the year. It took him like about 10 starts to get his first win this season. He is the top pitching prospect in the Diamondbacks system. It would be great for him to put that on display and get it going tonight. Your Desert Diamond Casino line on this one is in favor for the 2nd straight game. It's in favor of the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a little bit surprising to me that the Dodgers would be the favorite in this game tonight.
Well, I mean, you want to keep LA in the playoffs as long as possible, don't you? I mean, these are the back alley meetings we're having right now
And
in
don't
Major
they-
League Baseball's front office.
They set lines based on how much money will come in on each side, and you can assume that there'll be more money on the Dodgers side of things. So I think that's a factor. They don't, because basically Vegas doesn't set lines based on what they think will happen. They base it on how much money will come in.
Yes.
That's how the lines work. So
Yeah.
the fact is that, everybody's seen the Dodgers came in the prohibitive favorites, have not disappointed throughout the regular season, and I think the logic is they'll turn things around. Diamondbacks fans hoping that doesn't happen, obviously, but I think that's the logic behind that line.
All right, so it's a minus 132 for the Dodgers tonight, which means, again, if you take the D-backs, let's lay 100 tonight. What do you say, guys? Since we're just betting money tonight, let's lay 100 on the D-backs. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one there. I'm laying the money on the Dodgers. I don't want to do that. I want to lay it on the Diamondbacks and the 114. So if I lay 100, I'm taking home 114 tonight on the money line. And your over-under on this one is 9.5. That's a little bit higher with 7.5 the other night when you had Gallen on the mound. 9.5, I think that's going to come under on that. Under is plus 102. So if you play the under tonight, you're also going to win some money there. 6:07, again, first pitch between the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, Game 4 of the National League Division Series. All right, wanted to get to our question of the day today, and it's got to do with the fact that in 3 hours, they are going to pull 5 white balls and 1, what's the other guy? I don't even know what the other color ball is. Is it red or black or whatever? Red.
Sure.
To potentially hand out $1.725 billion in the Powerball. So I said we were going to play $5, but actually now Dragon Ball has upped it to $6 because we got to do the math on $2 a ticket. So you got to come up with anotor $1 there, J-Dub.
No problem.
Okay, so $6 now so we can get our consortium together and have a chance to walk away millionaire is because we're splitting the money 5 ways between our show. But the question of the day, and this is something I've always kind of debated in terms of the lottery. If you win tonight's Powerball jackpot, are you choosing to take your winnings in the annuity or in the cash option? Now, for my entire life, in terms of the lottery, I always said that if I won a Mega Millions, Powerball, Lotto, whatever they used to call it back in the day, jackpot, that I would always take the annuity. One, because I don't like giving away money, which the annuity, you're getting the full amount over the course of a number of years. In this case, with the Powerball, it's 30 years. But the older that I get now,
right,
I think that I would probably maybe not do that, and I would take the cash option. And the reasoning now is because back in the day, when you took the annuity, it was kind of more leveled out than it is now. It was almost like an even check for the entire, I think it used to be 33 years. Now it's 30 years. Now, like the first check, if you take the annuity after taxes, you would get $15.8 million, which don't get me wrong, that's still a lot of money.
Only $15.8 million?
$15.8 million. Your last check 30 years from now, which for me, that would be, I'd have to live to be 86 years old because I just turned 56. Last Thursday was my birthday. In case you missed it, I'm still accepting gifts. The last check 30 years from now would be $65 million.
That's a
so it literally just goes up from 15 this year all the way up to 65. So you're getting the bulk of your money in the final 10 years.
That's one
of
hell
the 30 years.
One hell of an 86-year birthday party, though. I'll tell you that much.
That's why I don't know. I used to say I would take the annuity, but now I think at my age, at 56, if I was still 20, 25 years old, 30 years old, I probably would still take the annuity.
I think it's structured.
But now I would take the cash.
I think it's structured a lot closer to what sports contracts are these days, the way I understand it, because it's like a 5% increase over the 30 years. So every year it's a 5% increase. So similar to a lot of escalating salaries you'll see in contracts in sports.
I just like the idea of getting a check every year. I've always seen, to me, one, how many stories, we hear the stories about people winning the lottery and blowing all their money because they took the cash option, right?
90% of people are broke within 5 years, I think. Is
you
the
can't
stat,
go broke if you take the annuity and get a check every year. You're guaranteed at least $15 million going up to 60 into the 60s for the next 30 years. To me, that makes sense. To a lot of people, I don't think that does make sense. But what would you do? That's our question of the day today. Would you take the cash money, brother? Cash Money Brothers. What movie was that?
New Jack City.
New Jack City. See, okay. David's too young to remember New Jack
great
City.
movie. I
The
love that
Cash Money Brothers. Nino Brown.
I just know Show Me the Money.
Nino Brown. Yeah,
I know Jerry Maguire. That's what
Jerry
I know.
Maguire. Or cut me the check, 30 checks. So that's the choices. Head on over to our Twitter page right now at Wildcats Radio 1290, at Wildcats Radio 1290, or our Facebook page at Wildcats Radio 1290, where you can comment on this, but you can't vote because Facebook doesn't do polls. I don't know why, but they never do. Right now, 54% say that they would take the cash. So it's pretty even. 54% said they would take the cash. 46% say cut me those 30 checks.
So what the thing that you discussed earlier about how your last check you would get at the age of 86 would be about $65 million. We call that the Bobby Bonilla market.
Exactly,
That's what
right?
we call that. But the one other thing that I would say is that I also believe that the best thing you can do, and this is from an econ teacher's son. So my dad has told me about the process of what he would do with this money if you won the lottery. You take the cash option and you take a large sum of it, at maybe half or a little bit more than half. You put it into a CD. That way, it's going to go ahead and continue to gather interest, and you're going to have that money still growing without it having to go into things like stocks or anything else
See,
like
I thought for sure what you're going to say is you build a diamond chocolate fountain in your living room.
Well, that's what the half that you don't put in the CD.
Okay.
Right, exactly. That's with the play money right there. You can put that chocolate fountain right in the middle of the house that you're going to build up there on Catalina.
Either
Catalina
that or
Mountain,
you
right?
invest it in the Las Vegas NBA team that Shaquille O'Neal apparently wants to be the owner of.
Ooh, well,
I hear LeBron wants in on that too.
Yes, he does.
Speaking of investing in this, Paul from Phoenix checks in, and he says that if he were to win the lottery, he would invest it in, guess what? Finishing the West End of Arizona Stadium. Remodeling and renovating the West End of Arizona Stadium.
You mean the Paul and Phoenix West End of the Arizona Stadium?
Yeah, exactly. That would be the Paul. Right there we go. His
Naming rights
would be on it. The Paul and Phoenix West End of Arizona Stadium. That Paul. That's not a bad. I mean, I like that. I think the people in we're going to be interviewing the collective coming up, as a matter of fact, here shortly. Zach Stockbridge from Desert Takeover is going to join us, so we'll ask him what he thinks about the potential. But that's not really NIL. He's not. That's NIL. This is. And see, that's the other thing with this whole thing now. It's like you've got NIL. It's like you got NIL, you got donors, you got the capital stuff, you got. I mean, it's like it's all kind of confusing now. That might be the next conversation we have with Dave Hickey. Is Dave, kind of figure it out for us, like all these different where people can spend their money. Now you've got another place you can spend your money with the NIL with Arizona Athletics. First, it was just the donors, or you could go spend your money with Learfield and do the sponsorships for your businesses or whatever. Now you got this NIL piece. It's a whole other leg of a place where fans and donors can spend their money with the university. It's all kind of crazy. But we'll talk to Zach Stockbridge about the NIL part of that straight ahead in the next segment. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here is Christy.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. We have an earlier collision in the clearing stages at Oracle Road and River Road. That's River and Oracle in the clearing stages. Still have those speed enforcement zones in the area of 6th and Ajo, also on Houghton Road between Brecky Road and Dawn Road. Please watch your speed in those areas. It is currently 94 degrees outside. Tonight's overnight low 65, and tomorrow sunny and a beautiful 88 degrees. I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Want to save big on custom faux wood blinds, shutters, cellular shades, and more? Shop Blindster today and save up to 50% over comparable blinds from brick and mortar stores. Get custom blinds at low prices and free shipping.
Radio 1290.
All right, busy week in sports here in Tucson. We've got the Arizona Bowl luncheon is going to be on Thursday. We'll be over there tomorrow and have a chance to chat with Arizona football legend Teddy Bruschi. That should be fun. Last year was Rob Gronkowski that kind of emceed that event. This year it's going to be Teddy Bruschi will be the keynote speaker. And also Teddy had an event earlier this week in town, Bowling with Bruschi. It was one of the first events in the NIL space for Desert Takeover, and we are joined by the Associate General Manager of Desert Takeover, Zach Stockbridge. And Zach, how did the event go on Monday night?
Well, thank you for having me on. The event was awesome, honestly. Being able to have some of our gold members on there, some of the donors in the community, and being partnered with the football team, with Teddy. It was just an incredible experience to just bring the community together and help generate some proceeds for, these student athletes.
So let's kind of go back to, we had a chance obviously to talk to Ray Wells on our pregame show a few weeks ago, and you're working with him in this endeavor. I think although a lot of people are still a little bit confused on, there's Desert Takeover, there's Friends of Wilma and Wilbur. Is it all the same thing, or are these like different entities within the NIL space here at Arizona?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's obviously, as the space is constantly adapting, there's so much to learn about it. For Friends of Wilbur and Wilma, it helps support a lot of the athletics as one of the main branches, but Desert Takeover is specifically its own collective for Arizona football. So people who want to get involved with Arizona football and the student athletes and the alumni and fans with that, that's all under Desert Takeover in that branch. And then as far as everything goes with specifically, let's say like baseball and some other things, we help with that aspect as well.
Zach Stockbridge is joining us. He is the Associate General Manager of Desert Takeover. It is one of the NIL collectives for the University of Arizona Athletics Department. So did you ever imagine that you would be working in this type of space? You have obviously a degree in sports management. I don't imagine that you probably thought when you got that degree that you'd be working in the NIL space, though, did you?
I did not. I'm originally from Central New York, and then I moved out to the Boston area, and both, whether it's Division III athletics, Division I athletics, or, in the hockey space in the AHL, I've done a lot of internships in my life, and none of them were anything I never thought I'd be here. Definitely more in the game operations day-to-day side. But I think that's also what's kind of helped me, I have more of an idea on how to help in that aspect when it comes to, the student athletes in this type of field. It's so brand new, but it's incredible. Every day is different, and you feel like you can make an impact.
So, when you're looking for events like this, is Teddy, is he involved in the collective from a monetary side? Do you just look for, do athletes that want to, do events with you, do they need to be involved monetarily on the athletic side, or can they say, hey, I want to just put my name on this and help you guys, bring in funds for the athletes?
Yeah, that's a great. I think that's the beauty of it. Some you can they're able to get involved. There's so many things you can do in that aspect. But others, like for example, with the Bowling with Bruschi, we've had a couple of local donors who wanted to sponsor a lane, and then we had the Boys and Girls Club actually kind of fill in some of those spots for them to kind of get more in depth with the community and the team. So there's so many different avenues and routes you can go with it. I think that's part of the beauty in it as we're growing this. There's just so many avenues to help bring that community together.
Now, when I first came here, Zach, I worked with Learfield. It was IMG College back in the day, and one of the things I found, kind of just being somebody that had broadcast sports on the minor league level and worked on the sales side as well, was that I thought this was a very tough market in terms of corporate partnerships, because there just aren't a lot of major companies here. What challenges are you guys finding in the NIL space, because maybe necessarily you don't have a State Farm, you don't have a FedEx or some, a big corporate company like that's located here in the Tucson area?
Yeah, there's definitely some challenges that can come with that. I think it's also more so the educational piece to it, learning what it is. It's so brand new, everything with the NIL. And, I think that also kind of gives some of the smaller corporate, corporate partnerships to kind of shine. whether it comes, for example, like we're going to have a watch party this coming weekend at Gentle Ben's, and, being able to broadcast and kind of help with that, building that, I guess, brand engagement, brand awareness for them and us at the same time. I think, it helps with the little guys, with the people that make Tucson what Tucson is, and building the community. So I think there's so much opportunity, and I think, you definitely can have a lot of success when it comes to some of the big names with and national partnerships, but I think there's a lot to be had and help, when it comes to a lot of the smaller ones as well.
Well, Zach Stockbridge joining us. He's the Associate General Manager of Desert Takeover. It's one of the collectives for U of A athlete, really for U of A football specifically, is Desert Takeover. Now, that was my next question, Zach. What you guys are doing, you did the event after the Red and Blue game over at Gentle Ben's, and now you're doing the watch party for this Saturday's game against Washington State. Now, are these events open to any fans that want to come, or do you have to be involved with the collective in order to attend those types of events?
Nope. For this one specifically, we want as many people to RSVP as possible. So basically, they could just, fans, whoever wants to come support and watch the game, we're going to open up an hour before kickoff. And, as they head over to the Desert Takeover website, they can RSVP and, just so we can make sure that they have a guaranteed spot. They're kind of filling up fast. So for anyone that wants to do that, definitely, urge you to do that sooner rather than later if you got the time. But absolutely, yeah. There's a lot you can, going over to the Desert Takeover website, just RSVP there, put all your information in, and, we'll have you ready to go for Saturday if you want to join us. And all the proceeds help benefit the football players.
Absolutely, and it's important, I think, for people to know that. Yeah, I was looking through the list of some of the folks that are involved, and obviously you've got some high level people. We're very familiar, obviously, with Cole and Jeannie Davis, big time donors. Jim Click's been around the program for a long time. I mean, these are people that are obviously putting in some major dollars to their partnerships with you guys. But there are also lower level partnerships that people can get involved in that don't involve spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
Absolutely. And like I was saying before with Desert Takeover, people can make, let's say, a one-time not tax deductible gift if they want, or we're actually running a pledge campaign right now. So if anybody wants to be a part of that, you can go ahead and for every touchdown or sack or win, you can either do a one-time donation of $10, you could do $3 for every touchdown, or $1,000, whatever, people would want to get comfortable, helping with. But yeah, absolutely. Every little bit helps, student athletes, especially, as it gets competitive and more and more competitive as we go into the Big 12 next year. So, that's just an easy way for anybody to kind of want to be a part of it and, help be a part of the.
Now, Zach, I mentioned obviously that I used to work with IMG College, which is now Learfield, which is a third-party outfit within the athletic department. That's essentially what you guys are. You guys are a third-party concept as well that works somewhat in conjunction. I don't know if it's the same type of relationship that what they have with IMG being housed inside of the facilities there. Where are you guys housed here locally?
So typically, we're usually at the college itself. Honestly, between Ray and I, we usually usually working in the library, or we have a little office we sometimes go to. But we're usually so busy that we're always on the go. So we're usually
I've
over
seen
in
Ray.
athletics.
Ray spends most of his time on the golf course, from what I've heard.
Oh yeah, he's got the numbers to back it up too. I'm not quite there yet, but oh yeah.
So
we're definitely always on the go.
See, Zach, you got to work on your golf game if you want to get some of these big time dollars out there.
Oh yeah, or maybe they'll be happier the fact that I'm not as good. It's a good cop, bad cop kind of thing.
But yeah, those big time donors, they like to win when they go out there and play, right?
Oh yeah, well they won't have a problem. I'm like a 14 or 15 handicap, so I think they'll be okay.
So in terms of the Bowling with Brewski, about how many folks came out? What were the numbers like in terms of fans who were able to come out to that event Monday?
There was about 70 to 80 guests that actually came out to help support. It was awesome. It was a big mix. And we also had a lane separate for our gold members. I know we kind of talked about that, about becoming a member. It's definitely a great reason for people to get involved. Because they're gold members, we wanted to thank them, and they got access to the event, and they were able to get a lane for free for first come, first serve, and they had a great time. So, any ways people can get involved and want to get involved, we try to create a lot of unique ways to help, give back to them for supporting us.
What other events do you guys have any other events coming up this season before the regular season ends that folks would like to know about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as far as the one at Gentle Ben's is the next one, and we're going to put out more information as we go when the details are more finalized. But I think Ray mentioned last time he was on the call about working with Grant and the Union. I think we're going to have one over at the Union Public House. It's up soon towards the end of the season. So anyone, be sure to check out our social media, Desert Takeover on Twitter and Instagram. And we'll definitely post information once it arises for upcoming events. We got a lot of stuff planned over the next year, so really curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of building this, it's like has it grown to this point? I guess faster than you thought, or about what you guys thought, and where do you want to take it in the next year?
That's a great question. As far as I got here about a month and a half ago, so as far as for me, it feels like it's flying by. As far as Ray's been on the ground, boots on the ground for over a year now, I think. So it definitely feels like it's constantly taking off, and we really don't take the time to look at it because we're always go, go, go. But there's so much to achieve. It's hard to put like a number or anything on it. It's just about taking it one day at a time, trying to continuously adapt and grow with it as it continues, and just trying to create new ways to be, just to stand out and help the raise those proceeds for the student athletes.
All right, so you're new to Tucson. Best thing about it so far that you love?
Well, first off, I'm from Central New York in the Northeast, so it's usually cold for 9 months out of the year. So this has been nice. But the food's been pretty good too. I got to tell you, I really liking the food here, but I haven't explored much. I know this is a big foodie scene, so I'm really excited to get to try new things.
Outstanding. We'll get out there and test out some of these restaurants there, Zach. I think you'll find that there's quite a few that you'll like here in Southern Arizona. Zach Stockbridge. Zach, we'll have you on again in the future as you guys kind of get this thing rolling, and we can let folks know about various events and how they can get involved with Arizona football.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'm excited to be back. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Zach Stockbridge. He is the Associate General Manager of the Desert Takeover Collective. This is the collective that primarily supports Arizona football. And again, the NIL space is where it's at right now. You can get involved. They've got merch. Just head on over to their website. I mean, everybody's got merch. You gotta get your merch. That's an easy way to put dollars into the pockets and help support your Arizona football team. Just go over there and buy a T-shirt, buy a cup. They got all kinds of nice little things you can do. And if you got big time money, there's different levels, starting from, I believe, on down like $8,000 on up to $100,000. If you've got that kind of money to try to help out Arizona football and the mission that Jet Fishing Company are trying to get going here into taking this program to the next level, and obviously next year into the Big 12. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Christy.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. We have a collision on eastbound I-10 near the Orange Grove exit. On the right shoulder, it's a stay left to get by. We also have a new collision on Thornydale Road and Ina Road. That's Ina and Thornydale. And we're seeing some slowing on Limberlost and Oracle. It is currently 94 degrees outside and breezy. Tonight's overnight low is 65. And I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
2020 Sports.
With Arizona getting set for yet another top 25 battle in the Pac-12 this week against Washington State, Wildcats defensive coordinator Johnny Nansen knows the defense will still need to stay tuned into the opposing quarterback as they prepare for Cam Ward and the Cougars' offense.
Well, they just got to be disciplined, and that we got to do a better job coaching them. Just pull up. The kids were throwing, he was throwing the ball away, and when we're off the field, we can't make those mistakes. The whole game plan was trying to get them off the spot, and that's what we did. And then just, be smart. We did all week of when he scrambled, start matching up receivers and things like that. And I thought our secondary did a great job in matching up receivers. But, the discipline factor has to be coached, and we got to do a better job doing it.
Arizona is still listed as about an 8-point underdog in that contest. The injury bug bit a number of teams this week with the first injury reports coming out, and the Dolphins and Colts got the worst of it as the Dolphins have officially placed rookie running back Devon Achane on the short-term injury reserve, meaning he'll miss at least 4 games. Indianapolis, sadly, their rising star quarterback Anthony Richardson will miss 4 to 8 weeks due to a grade 3 AC joint sprain he suffered on Sunday. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, thanks to Zach Stockbridge from Desert Takeover for joining us, the Football Collective. Don't forget, again, they've got a watch party coming up this Saturday for the Arizona and Washington State game. That'll be over at Gentle Ben's, so it'll begin an hour before kickoff. So it'll begin, the event will begin at 3 o'clock, and kickoff is at 4 o'clock. Don't forget, we'll be at Soul Sports for our pregame show, the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show. Our coverage will begin at 11:30 in the morning. 11:30 in the morning. We'll take you from 11:30 to 2:30. And again, kickoff is at 4. And our spot there at Soul Sports is brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there is nothing like game day at Arizona. We've got the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge coming up on Thursday. Your chance to compete and win money this football season by placing a bet on the right team. I'll pick the game. Can you pick the winner? If so, you're going to walk away. Yeah, everybody's picking the winner against me, at least the last 4 weeks anyway. If you win, you'll walk away with a $25 gift card from Miller Lite. More information on that and the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge, just head on over right now to our website. That's at wildcatsradio1290.com. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We want to hear from Adia Barnes, who was in Las Vegas for Pac-12 Basketball Women's Media Day. This was yesterday, and let's hear what the head coach of the ladies team for the Wildcats had to say.
It was great walk-up music for you, Adia Barnes. Great to have you here, the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, coming off a 22-win season, your 3rd straight trip to the NCAA tournament. I know this year's team is going to look a lot different than last year's team. You've got 5 returning players. So let's start with that, just kind of the state of the program and what you're excited about this group this year.
Well, I'm really excited because it's a great young group. Just excited for all the changes. A good core group of freshmen, and just excited for just this year, the last year in the Pac-12, and just excited for some good basketball, probably our best Pac-12 yet.
The freshmen need to be highly impactful. Just give us a quick overview of what you expect from them.
Because you never know what to truly expect with freshmen, but, I've been telling you, we always say this as coaches, you want a player that actually wants to play their position. And Brea Cunningham, she's a post player that actually wants to be a post. And that's rare nowadays, but she's been exciting, great hands, getting in great shape, finishing well around the basket, does not play like a freshman so far. And then Jada has been just so much fun, just already shows leadership as a freshman, and just a lot of things that she does are small things that you wouldn't think a freshman would do.
Well, and you've got a lot of, you got 2 returning seasoned vets who we're going to hear from in just a little bit. But first, let's open it up to questions for the media. Christine will call on media, and raise your hand, please.
Yeah, please raise your hand, and we'll hand you a mic, and state your name and affiliation prior to asking your question.
The first bill doesn't even do that.
Over here on my left.
Good morning. Last year, your attendance was phenomenal. What was it? Was it intention with the SID department, or was it a campaign within you and your team that really brought all those people out to support you?
Well, I think it's just, Tucson's a basketball town. If you look back at Lute Olson and the history, we've always been really known for basketball. And I think that early on when I first got to Arizona 8 years ago, we were really intentional about getting out in the community and being really active and just having some connection there. And I think it just grew, and it helped winning some games along the way. And having some success, but they just love basketball in Tucson. I think our team and program does a really good job of connecting with the fans. So yeah, we were number one in attendance in the Pac-12, so very proud of that.
Yeah. We're gonna go over here, am I right?
Hi, Adia, good to see you. Willie Ramirez with the Associated Press. With obviously so much talk about the conference and where it's headed, is there an added motivation to sort of go out with the bang? Are you trying to keep it at a minimum? How are you approaching this season with your players, the message to be sent, focus here, but also maybe, like I said, wanting to go out and with a bang?
That's not even a thought. My focus is this year, these great young women. I have some super seniors, and it's probably some of the best Pac-12 basketball in history. So I think that I'm so excited about that. You don't even look ahead because the main thing is to win now and live in the present. So just excited about the talent we're going to have, all the great players, the excitement, how there's so much parity, and then just not really looking ahead because we got to win now, today.
Over here, am I right?
It's nice being on this side.
Different, huh?
Charlie.
Hi, Adia. What do you think your greatest challenge is going to be this year to get your team to their best spot?
Yeah, so I think our greatest challenge is going to be just our youth and just the experience. The fact of the matter is we're going to play a lot of young players. And, we have some really good super seniors, but mixing in so many new players and the core being young. But the positive thing is, I think at this day and age when you're coaching and recruiting, if you get really good freshmen like the McDonald's All-Americans, you're not going to retain them if they don't play. So the positive thing is they are going to play. Now, will that mean we might lose some games because of some mistakes? That could be potential, but I'm looking at the future and how I want to build off the core. And Arizona was our best when we had our core together for 3 years. And that's how we teach a lot, and the process is longer in the way that I do things. So I'm excited about that, and just excited to see Brea and Jada and Skylar thrown into the fire. And then, Montea was hurt, so that's also a hard thing for us.
I'm curious because you bring it up, Adia. Do you have to coach differently in the era of the transfer portal than you maybe did before?
I think you have to coach differently in general from when I started. I mean, I'm only 8 years in, and the kids are very different than they were, 8 years ago. So I think with the portal, with retaining players, I think you're always having to recruit your players, and that's just what it is. And there's NIL, there's so many different things. So you just have to always just be changing as a coach and change.
You guys also play a very high energy style of play. Yeah. I mean, you're trapping, you're defensively, you just use a lot of energy most of the game. We're
going to use more energy this year.
Well, how do you do that with 10 players?
We're going to figure it out. Okay. That's going to mean, as a coach, I think one of the challenges for me, Charlie, too, is the challenge of having a short bench, which I haven't had the shorter bench, and being able to play our style. So I'm going to have to have shorter practices, obviously, which is hard. It's hard to be really concise and precise in a short amount of time, but it's what we do. And I'm telling you, we're going to play better defense than last year with a shorter bench. And I think for players, the psychological thing is, you're probably going to play. I think that's also fun, too. So I won't have 10 miserable people because,
Everybody will get some burn.
Mm-hmm.
Down in front on my right here.
Morning, India. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Networks for One Last Ride. Want to know the evolution of Kaylin Gilbert.
Yeah, Kaylin's been phenomenal. Just to watch her growth from last year, this year has been incredible. She's so strong right now. If you see her physically, she looks different. But just mentally, I think she approaches the game different. She's studied a lot. She's really intentional about everything she does. So we have big expectations for her. And, she's just grown a lot. And I think for her, she'll play on the ball, she'll play off the ball. But she's really put in work, so I'm expecting a really big year for her.
Over here, am I right?
Hi, Adia. Matthew Walter from The Next. You talked about you have such a young group this year. How important will Helena and Esmeri be to leading this team, not only from a basketball standpoint, from just an experience and leadership standpoint, to lead this younger group as you guys try to, win games this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. Helena and Ismary are going to be one of the most important things. We're going to go as they go. No pressure on them over there. But we need them to have great seasons, and they will. But we also need them to be strong leaders in the locker room, and they will do that. And I think for them, it's been really fun to watch. They love leading the type of freshmen we have. When you have freshmen that are hungry, that are great people, and they are in the gym and want to get better, I think that makes their job easier. But we're going to expect a lot from Helena and Ismary as far as them being aggressive on the floor. They're going to put us on their backs. And I think they're excited for the challenge. They know we're young, but they've also embraced that they have to be leaders in every sense of the way. So I'm excited for that. I think they are too.
As Mary in particular, every game I did last year, I was just so excited. I felt like you could just take a camera and just shoot her from the waist down with her footwork. It's so exceptional. What is it like to coach a player that the game just comes so naturally to?
It's really fun, and we just had to work a lot on her not fouling out. So she doesn't foul out of practice anymore. Before she fouled out of practice and the games, but no, I think just going from the Big 12 for her to the Pac-12 was a big adjustment because she's talked about it was a lot more physical, and the Pac-12 wasn't as physical. So she had that learning curve. This year, she knows that. She knows what to expect, but she's so much fun to coach because she's versatile. She's really improved and worked on her three, so she'll be more consistent. But I love the fact that you can't teach a player like her how to rebound. She's got that nose for the ball, and it's instinctual. And I love coaching players like her. We need some more Ismary.
I'm just curious, they both had an opportunity to go play professionally and both thought about it. How do you guide your players through those types of decisions and those two in particular?
Yeah, so I think when we talked about the changes in the coaching is you're now having to think about all those things, going pro, money, NIL, all that stuff. They both had really good opportunities. Helena passed up a 3-year pro contract to stay her 5th year in college, but she'll leave with a master's degree. And if you would have asked Helena that 4 years ago, she would have said, heck no, I'm going back to Spain. But I think it's a great opportunity. We have a chance to be really good in one of the best conferences in the country. And I think she wanted to just have one more go at it. And she's going to have a really big role. And I think that's also exciting for her. For her, she plays every position for us. She was our captain last year. She'll lead again this year. So I think all those things were something she really embraced. And she passed up the money. But for her, she'll have that later.
You've really turned the
that
page.
Is the head women's basketball coach here at the University of Arizona, Adia Barnes, and she was at Media Day on Tuesday. So you've heard both from Adia Barnes and Tommy Lloyd, and the games begin, folks, a week from Friday. It will be the first men's game. It is an exhibition, but it's basketball. That'll be Friday, October the 20th. J-Dub just loves exhibition basketball.
I just love basketball in general.
Yeah.
I'm unabashedly.
All right, in the next hour, speaking of basketball, in the next hour, we'll talk a little bit about, the Suns played last night. The Suns played the Nuggets. We'll get into that just a little bit and talk a little bit about a Arizona alum on the Denver Nuggets and maybe what his career path is projecting to in his 4th year in the National Basketball Association. This is DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Kelly along with J-Dub. I got the wrong screen up there. I'm showing an empty seat of Christy, and she's not here right now, but she will be later. That shot's not right either. We'll find a shot that works. How about that one right there? I'm the cameraman, folks, so sometimes I don't get it right. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. We have a new collision on Thornydale Road and Ina Road. That's Ina and Thornydale, causing a little bit of slowing for northbound Thornydale as you approach Ina. Also eastbound I-10 near the Orange Grove exit ramp. On the right shoulder, it is a stay left to get by. Tomorrow's high, sunny and a beautiful 88 degrees. Currently, it's breezy and 94 degrees. Tonight's overnight low is 65. And I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. If you're like many people, you may think custom blinds is a job for expensive professionals. Well, at Blindster, if you have a tape measure and a screwdriver, you can install our custom blinds and save big. Plus, we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
License 240693.
Summer got hot, dangerously hot, and frankly,
1290. 2020 Sports.
It was Pac-12 Media Day for men's basketball programs across the conference, and the Wildcats were represented by Coach Tommy Lloyd, Umar Ballo, and Kylan Boswell. While some are still looking back at the team's loss in the first round of the national tournament, Coach Lloyd said the team isn't suffering from a lack of toughness, despite what some may say.
Toughness can be kind of a catch-all term. And, I've never felt that we're soft. I think we play a very aggressive, physical style of basketball. But, at the end of the day, you get in a single elimination tournament, and toughness comes in lots of form. It could be, could be sticking to a game plan. It could be obviously if the physical things you think come with dominating the point and dominating the glass and things like that. But I think it's important. I think if the first thing I thought after that Princeton game is I need to increase our margin for error, and to me, toughness is a way that you do that. And if you want to be competitive in these games, sometimes you got to be able to physically dominate your opponent. And so, we're gonna strive for that. We know it's going to be challenging. We know other teams fight back really hard. And so, yeah, I think, toughness is a cornerstone of our program. And I think able to, for us to be able to make sure, when you get to March, that you're able to be successful. Toughness has to be a key element of everything we do.
The Cats have been picked as the preseason favorite in the conference for Arizona's final round in the Pac-12 before moving to the Big 12. And be on the lookout for some major changes coming to the Yankees this offseason. Team owner Hal Steinbrenner has said the team may be looking to make some personnel changes after 3 days' worth of meetings following the team's exit this season. Steinbrenner said some moves may be more subtle than others after he described the meeting of 15 team officials as a little bit dicey but respectful, as New York tries to bounce back after missing the postseason this year. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT? Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Final hour of today's program here. Still lots in store for you. More Arizona football talk coming up. Lamont Hundley will join us. U of A linebacker 1984 this hour. Our Arizona insider will get El Monte's thoughts about the defense's performance in a 43-41 triple overtime loss to the USC Trojans. You weren't with us at the beginning of the show. The final 3 days of David Amata here with us. He is going to be leaving the station, so he'll be on the air today, tomorrow, and Friday. Is Grandma Eleanor still going to send me stuff with that? Since you're not going to be here,
I'm sure if she would
please
like
send
me
please
to,
continue to send me stuff, Grandma Eleanor.
Yeah, she will send me down to the station. Be like, oh, send this in for somebody. I know this is their birthday or it's a holiday. She'll send me in.
Okay. All right. I love her gifts. Thank you, Grandma Eleanor, for always listening. Thank you, Debbie in Arkansas, for listening as well. We appreciate all the folks out there. If you want to get in on the program today, 520-848-1290. We're talking Diamondbacks earlier. We are a little over an hour away from first pitch in downtown Phoenix. Game 3 of the National League Division Series, Dodgers and D-backs. D-backs trying to close out that series and advance to the National League Championship Series. There was NBA basketball in downtown Phoenix last night. The Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns probably just don't want to see the Denver Nuggets coming around too much anymore because they have just been an Achilles, a thorn in our side over the last 2 seasons, and they won again last night to the Denver Nuggets, 115-107. It is just preseason, so scores really don't count, but they did play some of their starters, although the Suns did not play any of the big 3. Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant all sat out of this game. Aaron Gordon did play 13 minutes, didn't score any points, but did grab 7 rebounds and dish out 3 assists. Zeke Naji played 21 minutes, hit 5 of 8 shots from the floor in this game, including a 3-point shot. And Zeke finished with, looks like he finished with 17 points and 6 rebounds for Zeke Naji, who is entering his 4th NBA season since leaving Arizona as a one-and-done player, which, guys, I think begs to ask at this point, what is the future of Zeke Naji in the NBA? It still seems like he's going to be a reserve player on this defending championship team going into season number 4.
Yeah, I think if he was playing for any other team, he probably would have got a lot more run. That front court up there has been pretty stacked, obviously, with Joker and Porter, most specifically. I think Zeke got a little overshadowed by the guards who came in that class, obviously. We talk about Josh Green, Nico Mannion, but he was the Pac-12 Player of the Year in his freshman year, right? He came out, was shooting something like 80% through his first 10 games. Really a similar comp to me to Channing in a lot of ways, just because at that 6 had an incredible stroke on his outside shot. So in today's modern NBA, if you're 6'9" and can hit that shot consistently, there's a place for you in the NBA. Also, what he does better than Channing ever did was he is ferocious on the offensive glass. He's one of the better offensive rebounding bigs that you'll find. The big problem, DK, is illness, ankle, health and safety protocols, hamstring, knee, finger, knee, shoulder, and knee. So he's been often injured. There's been some times, in fact, in his career where he's only, I think, started 7 games through his 4 years, but he had opportunities to start more, and his injury, the timing of his injuries has been that where he gets an opportunity to maybe start for a short stretch, a week or two, and he himself goes down with an injury in those situations. So I really like his ceiling. He's only, 22, about to be 23, so he's got a lot of basketball still to be played. But I think in the modern style of the way that it's 5-out, 4-out sets, Zeke Naji has a home in the NBA as long as he wants to be there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you think he's older than that, but again, he came in, he was young. I think he was actually young, probably for a freshman, and only 22. He won't be even 23 until after the turn of the year. So halfway through this season, his 4th season before he actually turns 23 years old. You mentioned the other 2 guys that he came in with. Josh Green will be entering his 4th NBA season, and Nico Mannion, who got some run his first year with the Golden State Warriors, played mostly with their G League team, and now is playing over in Italy. What about Josh Green? Where do we think that he's going to eventually end up? He too has been primarily a reserve through the first 3 seasons.
Josh Green is 10 times better than people understand. I think we all knew coming in defense was going to be his strength, and he really showed that as a freshman. His shot was semi-inconsistent, but guys, he's playing with Luka, and Luka is teaching him all kinds of playmaking. If you watch Josh Green these last 12 months, he's actually playmaking a lot. They're putting action with Josh Green and Luka in the same action together. He's making really strong decisions. There's a term these days called driving the closeouts, because the NBA is a lot of scattered defense. Everybody's running around. So if you are not a Steph Curry knockdown shooter, driving that closeout hard, and Josh Green's burst and his athleticism is what separates him. And he's, again, so young, but you can see the experience and confidence he's gotten from playing with the Australian national team. He's obviously, I think they won silver in the Olympics last time, and he was a part of that. He's just, I think Josh Green is a perfect specimen for today's modern NBA because of his lockdown ability on the perimeter. And now that Kyrie's over there, he might not get as much ball handling responsibilities coming his way. But again, I think he's a team first guy. He's always going to be there to do whatever they need him to do. And that's the most important thing, because when you're playing with a superstar top 5 player like that, you just got to be ready to knock down open shots and just play sound defense and then run those sets however they're trying to, attack the defense.
What do they call themselves? The Australian
Boomers.
The Boomers. I like that as a nickname.
No, Josh Green has had a lot of improvement to his game, particularly because he's been playing on the national team. And right now, that's the funny thing about NBA basketball, is that you're seeing players seemingly get a whole lot better, not during the NBA season, but during the off season.
Lowry.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting a lot of players that are getting better because of their play with their national team. We just got done a little while ago with a couple of the Suns players playing for the Bahamas.
where Eric Gordon,
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton, and then you also had Buddy Hield were all playing on the Bahamas national team together. And there was initially an idea that, Eric Gordon and DeAndre Ayton, they're already getting used to each other playing on the same team. Now that Ayton's not there anymore, but you saw some improvement on what Ayton was doing in the national competitions there. Eric Gordon still showing that he has a little bit of that young man step. Josh Green playing with Australia on a team that is highly competitive like that, you're seeing him get more aggressive. And that's what you have to do on that Australian national team, is that they've always been an aggressive squad, particularly with their guard play. I think we all remember you particularly, DK, remember Matthew Dellavedova?
Yeah.
I mean, he was not necessarily the quote-unquote cleanest player maybe in the NBA, but that was the kind of play that he was doing with the Australian national team. You saw Andrew Bogut was there as well. This has always been a very competitive team nationally, and Green being on that crew, you've seen him get that little bit of an edge playing for them, as well as the time that he's had with the Mavericks.
And you talk about the Boomers, like the national pride guys for Australian sports figures. I mean, they step it up. And the guy I think of is Patty Mills, because he's a good NBA player, but man, when he gets an international play, it's just a completely different animal, and he's basically unstoppable with that team. So yeah, there's a lot of really quality players and a lot of great history going back. What was it, Gates? What was the guy's name in the 70s and 80s? There was a really, really good player out of Australia back in those days. But Bogut, as you mentioned, number 1 overall pick. There's quite a lot of players. Lowry is the guy I think of. He just plays a different level of intensity, and he just plays a different style of basketball with the Finnish national team. Brought that back, DK, as David Amato was saying. First ever 200 3-pointers made and 100 dunks in a season last year in the NBA after that incredible run that he made 2 years ago in the international tournament. So...
And made his first All-Star team last year, did Lowry Markkanen.
First Nordic-born player ever.
Yeah, outstanding stuff. NBA basketball just around the corner. NHL started last night for some teams. Coyotes will be on the ice on Friday, as well as the Roadrunners. The fourth member of our team, Christy, joining us back here. Okay, so Christy, we told you $5, but it's actually $6 now. Okay. Because we got to do the math on the fact that these Powerball tickets cost $2 each, so $6 is going to be the play. So we'll have $30. That'll get us 15 tickets, if my U-High math is correct. 15 tickets between the 5 of us to become millionaires.
How many diamond chocolate fountains are you going to put in your living room?
Right.
Christy, that's what we want to know.
What are you going to do with your money? What are you going to do with your money when we win it?
Oh, my goodness. First thing I'm going to do is hire one of those people to come in.
Quit the post office?
Oh, okay. The second thing I'm going to do. That too. I'm going to hire people to come in and do those holiday lights that you tune to a radio station. And, it goes to the music and everything. I think those are so cool. I saw one the other day, and I was like, I want that.
So you're going to do that at your house?
Okay, I'll get a house, so that'll be the third thing I do.
First to get a house.
Got to get the house to go with the lights, to go with the chocolate fountain in the foyer.
Now, are you going to just keep those lights on year-round?
Oh, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Every
Let
day.
people know this is what happens here.
Hey, we have a year-round. We do a year-round tree at my house. We do. We decided the third or fourth year we were here that we were not going to take our tree down because we just got tired of putting it up and taking it down. So now we just keep the tree up and we just change the lights every season. In the summertime, it's a holiday tree. We'll put in the fall we put the orange lights on it for Halloween and all that, and then we put the Fat Tuesday lights on it, the Mardi Gras lights with the purple and the gold and all that, and then we go to the red, white, and blue lights for the 4th of July. We put some egg lights on there for Easter and whatnot, ever not, pink and eggs and that kind of thing. So yeah, we just kind of change the lights out and keep the tree up all year.
I like that a lot.
And people always wonder why those people got their Christmas tree up this time of year. It's not even Christmas. See, they got that commercial now. It's like the most wonderful time of the year commercial. It runs all year now, so you can do Christmas whenever you want.
Yeah, we have had a tree in our living room as late as March, April, but it's just more because Paige really likes the holidays. So our tree stays up a little longer, I think, than the average house as well.
Lazy.
Absolutely. Well, Christy, David's leaving us, so say goodbye. He's going to be leaving us. This will be the last opportunity you have to talk to him.
Well, I will miss you.
I'm gonna miss you too, Christy.
Oh, I didn't know. I'm so sad now.
Yeah, David's going on. He's going on to bigger and better things.
You're not going to the post office, are you?
No. I'm saying.
Just checking.
I'll be away from that for a bit.
He's the one ordering all those Amazon packages you got to deliver. Yeah.
You know, that is deadly for me. Amazon days are going on right now, and I've been ordering like
Apparently,
crazy.
somebody's ordering Amazon on my accounts. I don't know. I think some guy from Detroit called me and said I had 3-4 different accounts that were ordering.
I don't think
big-time
that guy
stuff.
was from
I don't know.
Detroit.
He didn't sound like he was from Detroit. I got relatives from Detroit, and he didn't sound anything like that. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives is Christy on this Wednesday.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. We're still seeing some slowing from an earlier collision on I-10 near Orange Grove on the right shoulder. Still a stay left to get by. In the clearing stages, Thornydale Road and Ina Road, and also clearing Kolb Road and Valencia. Fall is finally coming. Hopefully tomorrow's high of 88, beautiful and sunny. Tonight's overnight low, 65, and it is currently 94 degrees outside. And I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
As they prepare for what could be the final baseball game for the Dodgers this year, Troy Lavello's crew can win their 5th straight postseason game. Diamondbacks send out Brandon Pfaadt on the mound going up against Lance Lynn for first pitch set to begin just after 6 o'clock tonight. And in other news, the ALDS has come to an end for one team as they have now a chance to fight for a spot in the World Series. The Rangers have completed a 3-game sweep of the Orioles thanks to an explosive second inning, and then Nathan Eovaldi giving Baltimore fits on the mound before Texas put a bow on their performance in front of the home crowd.
And the Texas Rangers are going to the championship series. Started to chant, "We want Houston." Will it be a battle of Texas, a battle for the American League?
The Rangers now wait for either the Twins or Astros. The team said that pitchers Max Scherzer and John Gray could be relatively close to returning for the postseason run. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290. It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late? No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, let's chat with Lamont Hundley, Arizona linebacker, 1984. He is our Arizona Insider on Wednesday. Lamont, your thoughts on what was a pretty good football game, but one in Los Angeles in which the Wildcats came up 2 points short in triple overtime?
Oh yeah, pretty sad that we gotta keep going through these moments like this in regards to the way these kids get out there and play. The way these kids put forth the effort, and the end result is what it is. You know, a lot of few things that I think that put us in this end result as far as losing the game, some things that we as a team has to, change. And a good quality team don't create penalties for themselves. Don't put themselves in those bad situations where, a late hit on the quarterback can determine, a field goal versus a touchdown. I mean, sometimes it's simple things like that is what separates, the great from the average football programs. And, and you go into situations like that where you're going into 3 overtimes you can just see SE within their mannerisms, especially that quarterback. He said, we got this, because, they have that confidence within themselves. And we just got to learn to have that just as well.
Lamont, you are obviously a defensive player. How you mentioned the penalties. A lot of these penalties are coming from the defensive side of the ball, late hits, running into the quarterback. How do you pull up and pull that intensity back to where, you're still able to try to make plays, but you're not making the extracurricular mistake that's going to cost your team 15 yards?
Well, it is a very, very hard thing to teach because you can't teach it. And especially now, the way the game is practiced, the game is practiced where, they're running through dummies. They're running through, wheels that roll around on the field. And they're not running through real bodies. And, so those things are kind of hard to kind of practice, per se. It's the only way you really can get this in the kid's head is preach it, preach it, preach it, preach it. You have to preach it as a coach. You have to constantly remind them, even in a situation like that, when you come to the huddles, the first thing that you said before you send that defense out there, stay off the quarterback. No dumb penalties. And you have to remind them, and you have to put it in their head at that moment. So when the ball is snapped, they got that coach in their head saying, no dumb penalties. Stay off the quarterback. You have to do it at that moment of action.
Absolutely. Lamont Hundley joining us. He is our Arizona Insider, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is an official sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day. at Arizona. I think, Lamont, going into that, obviously going into the Washington game, we weren't sure what we had defensively. I think after these two games, though, we can officially say that this defense is legit this year. But they've done it really at all three levels of the defense too, which I think is what's nice to see. It's not really just one unit that's that's creating this success. It's the guys down front, inside and outside. It's Jacob Manu and Justin Flo and the linebackers, and it's these young cornerbacks on the edges and Dalton Johnson and company back there at the safety position.
Absolutely, man. And every week they have bettered themselves. They have advanced themselves. Have put our offense or our team in a situation where we're in the game simply because of the way the defense is playing. You also have to give your hats off to that coaching staff. I mean, Johnny has prepared these kids for each game situation. I mean, to have 7 defensive backs out there playing, okay, and really put Kalen in a bad situation. Kalen was not ready for seeing 7 defensive backs.
No,
and those defensive backs was closing. They was blanking some good quality receivers at SC. They was covering them, and Kalen basically runs around. And when you got 3 guys rushing, that's asking a lot too, as far as the 3 defenders is defensive lineman rushing around and try to bring that kid down. And he's such a great athlete. and Johnny goal was to keep that kid off his hunches and keep him off the spot, and he ran him off the spot. He really did. Kept that Williams off the spot. He was back there. He was flustered at time, and he used his other ability, and that was his legs.
Yeah. Joined by Lamont Hunley, as always. He is the U of A linebacker from 1984. Wildcats head up now to Washington State to take on the Cougars. Do you ever have any success up there in Pullman, Lamont?
Oh, yeah. Every time I played there, I've won, thankfully.
Yeah, they weren't very good back in those days.
Yeah, they weren't very good at all, bro. They weren't good. But the weather was awful, I tell you. And I hope and pray that there could be a break in the weather. But every time I played up there, it was raining and it was cold and, very, very awful weather to play in. But they got an exciting team, and it's going to be a competitive game for our guys. And once again, it's going to be, for the defense. I mean, the defense has to be prepared and ready for some a track meet with these wide receivers and a great quarterback.
Lamont, a quarterback controversy is not good for any team at any level at any time, and we've seen this throughout the annals of football. It's never good when you've got people fighting over who should be the starting quarterback for a team, and obviously that's what has happened now here with the injury to Jaden Delore and the play of Noah Fafita. If you're a player, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that there's noise around who should be playing quarterback and try to not let that infiltrate into the locker room?
You don't. You as a player, you don't allow it to happen. You don't. You basically leave that up to the coaching staff, and you respect whatever the coaching staff decision that he makes. In this case, it's Jed's decision to make, hopefully with some input from the training staff and maybe the quarterback coach. But it's his decision to make as far as what quarterback he's going to put out on that field. Now, me as a football player, me as a teammate, you know what? Whoever's going to come behind that center today on Saturday, that's my guy at that moment. That's my guy at that moment, and I'm gonna praise him up and down, and I'm gonna get him ready. I'm gonna get him excited that he's about to play a game of his life. And I will believe that most players have that mindset that they can't. You got too much going on yourself to think about, choosing this quarterback over that quarterback. So whoever Jed chooses to pick come Saturday, me as a player, I'm 100% behind that. Now, as a fan, it's a different story.
So you want to weigh in then on who you think should be playing quarterback?
Well, honestly, if I'm looking at it as far as on the perspective of play, both of those guys playing the game, well, just in general, as far as, again, being a player and looking at it, I think Jalen still has the opportunity to be the starting quarterback. I am old school, one of those guys that don't believe because you're injured, you should lose your job. And when Jalen did get injured, I mean, that wasn't the end of the game at all. I mean, the end all of the game. There's some positive things that Jalen been doing. There's a lot of negative things that Jalen been doing. There's some positive things that Noah has been doing just as well the last few games. And there's some negative things that he's been doing too. There's some immaturity in that kid that I saw, particularly he's looking for his best friend.
Yeah.
He was looking for his best friend. But that's immaturity on his part. So will that carry into next week? And Washington State is going to defend that way. Whereas Jalen, he goes down his progression and find the the open receiver at that particular time or run. But, I think as far as if I'm weighing into it as a fan again, I think that kid should have the opportunity to be behind center Saturday if he's ready to play the game and he's not injured. And I don't know, to be honest with you.
Right. Hey, we always appreciate you, Lamont, for joining us, and we'll check in with you again after this trip to Washington State. Nice to have a bye week coming up.
Hey, they're going to need it, bro.
Lamont Hundley, our Arizona insider for Wednesday.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've been saying. Noah Fifita at times locks in on Tetero McMillan, but David, he is 6'4", so
yeah, he's 6'4". Look, I know that we can't really attribute football to basketball, but I remember there was a time when Gary Payton had been talking about his time with the Miami Heat. He would always say, "We're waving off every play Pat Riley gives us because we're giving it to the big fella. We're giving it to Big Shaqtus down there under the paint." Look, if I've got a 6'4" wide receiver with body control that has the capability to just make a catch in any window, I'm throwing to the big fella.
Well, look, it's all chess, right? So, I mean, if the scout is just that, you use that to your advantage. You look at T-Mac until the defense shades over there, and all of a sudden you've got wide receivers in their routes. So, I mean, if that is what the opposing defensive, coordinators are seeing on film, that's not necessarily a bad thing. First of all, T-Mac catches a lot of those high-point passes. It's definitely not good for the offense overall for him to look straight at him every single time they run a play.
Right. You got to use your eyes. You got to use your eyes. Even if that's where you want to throw the ball, off snap, maybe look the other way and then come back to him. But don't look. I mean, again, it's always about, especially with young quarterbacks, is keying right off the snap on that receiver that you're going to throw the ball to. Just try to move your eyes and get the defense thinking, well, maybe he's going to throw it here, and that opens up other windows for you to be successful in the offense. All right, we want to make sure one more time we get you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic. No one doing it better than Cricket and Christy.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by O'Reilly Chevrolet. We have a new collision on River Road and First Avenue. That's First Avenue and River Road. You can use Wetmore or Stone to avoid that area. In the clearing stages, Thornydale Road and Ina Road, also clearing Kolb Road and Valencia Road. It is currently 92 degrees outside. Tonight's overnight low, 65. Tomorrow, sunny and 88. And I'm Christy with Wildcats Radio, 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
reps this week after placing James Conner on the team's injured reserve list for the next 4 weeks. But Jonathan Gannon has said that he's excited to see the backups get some more reps, along with the possibility of getting Keontae Ingram back from injury this week.
Excited for him, honestly. You know what I mean? You got to be ready to go when your number's called, and we'll get Keontae back here this week, so we'll see how he does this week. But excited for him too. And I'm ready to go.
Arizona still sits in 4th place of the NFC West. They take on the Rams, who sit just ahead of them in 3rd. LA still looking for their first home win on the year. After flashing a shirt that was not safe for television following a touchdown against the Cowboys, San Francisco 49er George Kittle could be facing a hefty fine from the NFL, according to reports. Kittle scored 3 touchdowns on the night, but after one, he lifted his jersey with a shirt that had an expletive on it for Bleep Dallas, although it was not censored or bleeped in any respect. Kittle could lose potentially up to $10,000 according to the league's fine schedule. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, lots going on in the world of sports today. We've got the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers at the top of the hour. The Phillies have closed out Game 4 against, or Game 3. Game 3, right? Game 3 against the Braves, winning big in Philadelphia to take a 2-1 series lead there. And then you've got the Astros now leading at the moment over the Twins, trying to close out this series and set up an ALCS between the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers. We've also got Game 2 of the WNBA Finals tonight in Las Vegas. We've been talking a lot of Las Vegas because the Pac-12 men's and women's basketball media days have been held there the last few days, and Las Vegas looking to win that series against the New York Liberty there.
They are 19-1 at home on the season.
Yeah.
Trying to go for the first back-to-back championships, I think, since 2008, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like this league started with that because it was Cheryl Swoops, right, with the Houston team, and they won the first 3.
Yeah.
I think they won the very first 3 that they ever had in the WNBA. So I feel like dynasties is what that league's always been about.
And be interesting. You got Kelsey Plum, obviously, leading that Las Vegas Aces team, which is coached by Becky Hammon. Who has spent some time in the NBA as an assistant coach and now looking to win 2 championships. Do you think if she win, well, obviously I don't think she would go back to the NBA this year because the season's about to start, but do you see it as another opportunity for Becky Hammon? I mean, eventually I would think there's going to be a woman coaching, head coach in the National Basketball Association right now. And I think it's likely more so to be her than to see Becky Hammon go to college and take over a college
Has
program.
Greg Popovich announced a successor yet? Because that would be the place,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's her. I mean,
That's where she was.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about her goals in life and if that's a goal to be back and be an NBA head coach. I just know that she was really comfortable in San Antonio, and Greg Popovich isn't going to coach forever, so that would be the natural landing spot, right?
Yeah, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. The USC coach who coached at Cal, was with the Cavaliers, Lindsey Gottlieb, spent some time in the NBA as an assistant coach, but then went back to college and came back to the Pac-12 to take over the USC program. So but now, again, Becky Hammon has never coached college in the college game, so it'll be interesting to see maybe if that's a step she wants to take to lead a college program potentially. But I would think if you're running an WNBA franchise, that's probably a better schedule. And you don't have to recruit. You just have to sign good free agents and
probably travel
draft
better.
well.
Probably travel better.
Travel a lot better. And you get to live in Las Vegas.
That's not such. Well, it depends on your constitution and how you like to use your spare time.
Yes.
It's a great place to live unless you get in trouble with too much spare time.
Gamble all your money away. It's the place
Among
to be
other
right
things,
now.
yeah,
You know,
among other
you got the NHL champions there, right? You got the WNBA champions. The Raiders are not very good.
No.
Well, give them a little bit of time. I think that once we get past the Josh McDaniels era, once again,
yeah,
I think that's what they'll probably go ahead and change up things. I just don't think he's a good coach for the Raiders.
my problem is like, the Raiders moved around so much in my lifetime, but when it's the Las Vegas A's, guys, I mean, I cannot, in my good conscience, even call them that, right? Because they're so synonymous with Oakland. And I know Philly's where they came from, right?
Yeah,
but I wasn't around.
Athletics,
I wasn't around for any of that. So my whole life, they've always been an Oakland team, and we know that story. So I mean, like my uncle moved to Vegas in 77, 78, and he's a contractor who's been involved in building a lot of those casinos down there. They're in Henderson, not Vegas, but I've spent a lot of my life up there in that area. And guys, I mean, that was founded as a sports town. I mean, there's always been a lot of sports-centric people. The question was whether or not having gambling adjacent to professional sports was a smart thing to do. And after gambling became, league-wide acceptable in recent years, it just feels like the floodgates have opened. But let's not kid ourselves. Vegas has always been a sports town. A lot of people who move there or live there even seasonally throughout the year, 6 months a year, they all go there as sports fans. So the support will unquestionably be there.
I mean, one of my buddies that I used to work with in TV, I mean, he and his some of his college friends, they do an annual trek to Las Vegas for the beginning of the college basketball tournament every year. That's kind of their thing. They do. They go, and it's a boys' trip, and they watch the first rounds of the NCAA tournament and enjoy each other's company, and I'm sure do some gambling and whatever else that boys do when they go to Las Vegas without their wives.
They're up to no good, probably.
Exactly. But I've said, and I said it all summer long when we were talking about the expansion, the potential expansion of the Pac-12. I said that Las Vegas is the fastest growing sports town in the West. I don't know why you wouldn't want to, and if I was the Big 12 now, I would try to maybe create some type of alignment with Las Vegas because it's the place to be. I know they're kind of tethered to Dallas, but I would definitely try to work Las Vegas into that mix and spread my championships out between a number of different places throughout your conference footprint to try to take advantage of some of those other locales that are out there. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And also, we had Tommy Lloyd earlier today, and you heard some of his comments. And at the Pac-12 Media Days, they also have they do the stage setting, which is what you heard, but they also have the breakout sessions where the media can go and ask questions. And J-Dub, apparently he did talk today about the ongoing chatter about how this rivalry between Arizona and UCLA is going to continue.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance myself to see it. I did read about it. I read the quotes that they were talking about it, and clearly both fan bases, or predominantly the Arizona fan base, would love to see that rivalry with the Bruins continue. I think it just makes sense, logistically with all the schools out west, even if they're not going to be in the same conference. The Stanfords had some quality basketball teams. Not recently, but they got Madsen coming in this year. That could be turned around. Oregon's had some very good teams. Washington, we know all about the schools from Los Angeles. There's so many quality basketball programs on the West. It just makes sense because of the regional effect of it to have those teams continue to play each other, even if they're going to different conferences. So from what I understand, obviously they're going to be asked about that. The last season of the Pac's coming up. They're going to be asked about continuing some of those rivalries. Nobody really, I think, has answers to those questions right now because the logistics of scheduling, they're scheduling these, 2-3 years in advance a lot of times. And then it's just a matter of figuring out what times they're going to slot those in and what days. But they usually do home and home series for 3-4 years. And first they got to figure out how many teams are even going to be in the Big 12 because this week, there's rumblings that maybe the Zags are again involved and they might be added as early as next year. So we don't even know how big that group is going to be for that conference yet. But certainly, as far as Coach Lloyd's concerned, I know that they want to continue those rivalries.
In a situation with that, if Gonzaga does in fact join the Big 12, what happens with the conference logo when it comes between football and basketball season? Because it's not going to be 12 teams going into next year. I think it's currently sitting at 16.
Yeah. 2 are leaving, yeah.
Yeah, 2 are leaving with the 4 that are coming in from the Pac-12. So it'll be the Big 16
and
for next season.
And they added 2 others this year as well, right?
Yeah. So is it going to be the Big
16-17 for the football conference, and then the big 17-19 or whatever it is for the basketball.
I don't know about logos, but I'll tell you one thing. Brett Yormark, is it?
Yeah.
He, guys, wants to renegotiate in 2029, which is when their next thing comes. I think that's what I read, 2029, something like that. Not too far on the horizon. Not next year, but in the near future, 4 or 5 years away. They want to renegotiate it so they split football and basketball media rights revenue, because obviously his goal, he comes from NBA. He had 2 stints in NBA front offices. He looks at the landscape and he thinks the basketball is very undervalued. And with the league they're putting together, obviously Kansas, Arizona et al., Houston, there's a lot of teams, quality basketball teams. You add Gonzaga to that, and then all of a sudden you're looking at potentially the most dominant basketball conference year in, year out, and that gives you a little leverage. So with everything being dictated by football revenue, Yormark's looking forward and thinking maybe basketball should be split and that they would have a seat at the table because those super football conferences are getting formed. He wants to look at the basketball side of it.
That's what that was one of the things I initially said when all of this started going on. Right after USC and UCLA decided to leave, I said you should take the blue blood basketball schools should band together and create their own conference, because they all play football. So they have the football piece, and then they bring the value of having all those great basketball programs. If you could have created something where literally, and I kind of drew it up, I said my dream conference would be, Duke, North Carolina, Louisville, Kentucky. You put Houston in there, Kansas, and obviously you might have to bring some other teams with you, like a Kansas State and like maybe an Arizona State. But, you bring essentially your conference is made up of blue blood basketball schools.
Yeah.
That also play football, and that's kind of what you're talking about in terms of what Brett Yormark is imagining for the future of the Big 12.
Super ironic right now. Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, and Duke. Who am I forgetting? Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, Duke are all ranked in the college football top 25 right now.
Yeah.
All of the basketball blue bloods are currently ranked.
Did you say North Carolina?
Yeah, UNC as well. North Carolina is 12th this week. So all 5 of the traditional, what people consider the basketball blue bloods, they're all ranked in the top 25 in football right now.
And it's kind of shocking considering that not only that, but most of those teams, they also missed the national tournament this last year, if I'm not mistaken. So changing of the, probably not a changing of the guard,
yeah, they're all
so to
football
speak.
schools now.
Real quick before we get out of here, my North Carolina buddy, he says, Duke is legit. Carolina looked big time on Saturday. Both fan bases are waiting for an epic fail. Fun times. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks to J-Dub. Thanks to Christy. Thanks to Dragon Ball. Talk to him tomorrow, Wednesday, because you won't get to talk to him after that. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. My name is David Kelly. It's DK on the Sports Tip. You are listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. Have a great Wednesday night, and go D-backs. We're going to miss the dancing for sure. People on the radio can't see the dancing.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic.